The world keeps changing. There was a time when films went into theaters, and then to TV, and then DVD, and then internet, and now even the mobile phones. So from a country where there were perhaps 10,000 screens on which films could be seen, we now have a country where 900 million screens exist on your mobile phones. That's the rate of change. As Lee Iacocca said, if you stand still in business, you get run over. So it's important to listen to those who have their finger on the pulse, and it gives me great pleasure to invite the global CEO of Deloitte to talk to us on leadership in a changing world. Please welcome Mr. Punit Renjen.
India 36 years ago, and Kabir Bedi looked just the same 36 years ago. I think, Kabir, it's your 4 wives. Anyway, I grew up just 70 kilometers from here in a town called Rohtak, Haryana. And by the way, Jonathan, your Hindi is pretty good. Picture baki hai. So I think he's our resident Desi. We'll make him a Desi now, Jonathan. But I grew up 70 kilometers from here in Rohtak, and I could have never imagined that I would be sitting here or standing here talking to you about a changing world. Things are changing and changing rapidly. The Yes Bank speaker, I completely agree with him. The Industry 4.0 revolution is fundamentally changing everything that we know. It is the confluence of the digital and the physical world. It's enabled by technology and new business models. And so it is fundamentally changing everything. And not to age myself, but I believe that this revolution is going to be more profound than the ERP revolution that I lived through, the Y2K revolution, the re-engineering revolution. The potential to disrupt, the potential for opportunities in Industry 4.0 is profound. And so I agree that this is a world that is rapidly changing, but it is being modulated by 4 forces. One of them is populism. And you see this from Britain all the way to Brazil, from Indonesia to Italy. It is introverted, it is regressive. The second aspect is regulation. Regulation is more pervasive, it is more global. What happens in one jurisdiction influences every other jurisdiction. The third is competition, primarily tech-enabled, but this competition is fundamentally disrupting industries and disrupting the way that we do business. And finally, client and talent expectations. Client expectations, customer expectations are more outcome-based, and talent expectations, particularly millennial expectations, they expect you to do more than just generate a profit, which is consistent with the theme of this conference. If you go talk to younger people, the first question, and I recruit on campuses all the time, the first question that they will ask me is, what does Deloitte do beyond its core profit motive? So these 4 forces are modulating certainly the opportunities that the 4th industrial revolution is unleashing. So what are the takeaways? 3 takeaways from my standpoint. The first takeaway is that you have to think beyond your core competency. As business leaders, I've been in business for 32 years, for instance, we've been taught that you should stick to your knitting, stick to your core competency. But in Industry 4.0, that is not going to be enough to sustain competitive advantage. You are going to have to lever ecosystems and alliances, again, consistent with the Yes Bank speaker. The ability to lever ecosystems and alliances will determine winners and losers. I'll give you an example. We were recently asked by a client to fundamentally change the survival rate of cancer patients while we improve their experience when they come to hospital, and we change the effectiveness and efficiency of the cancer treatment process. Now, we have deep domain knowledge as a firm. When it comes to healthcare, we understand healthcare systems very well, but that is not a core competency that exists within the four walls of Deloitte. For us to be able to address this massive challenge, it required us to form an ecosystem of partners, a device manufacturer, a leading cancer institute, a leading pharma company that focuses on cancer treatment, an enterprise software company. And together, we are focused on improving the cancer treatment process, providing real-time data, and making the process more effective and efficient. It took an ecosystem of players to try and address that fundamental problem. So to lead in this era of fundamental change, you will need to think beyond your core competency and focus on ecosystems and alliances. So certainly build, but probably buddy up. And that is one key takeaway. The second key takeaway is that you have to lead with purpose. You have to think beyond profit. And I'm not just talking about a CSR commitment. I'm talking about fundamentally defining for your own business as to what is your reason to exist. Why do you exist as an enterprise? And I'll use Deloitte as an example. We exist as an enterprise to make an impact that matters for the clients that we serve, the people that we hire, and the communities that we live and work in. For the clients that we serve, our purpose is to make a tangible, measurable, attributable impact every single time. For the communities that we live and work in, it is to give back to those communities in very meaningful way. Jonathan talked about the impact that Blackstone makes in India. But having a perspective that is beyond profit is going to be critically important to lead in this new environment. And it is not only, as Jonathan said, the right thing to do, it is the right business thing to do. Deloitte has decided to come up with a purpose to make an impact that matters, not because we are an altruistic organization. We've done it because it matters to our 280,000 people. When I go recruit on campus, and I can stand there and talk about what Deloitte does, that it is a great place to start a career, that we will train you to be great businessmen, and oh, by the way, we will impact by your efforts 50 million individuals. That is a powerful, compelling statement. So the second takeaway for you is that purpose and profits together coexist. And by the way, just as an add-on, living that purpose through clearly articulated values is a great brand protector. Because in this environment of 24/7 media, something that happens in one jurisdiction very quickly can impact another jurisdiction, can impact your brand. And certainly having systems and processes to protect that brand are important, but the biggest protector is values. The third, and maybe the most obvious takeaway, and then I'll conclude, is flawless execution. Because everybody can talk about the fact that 5G, AI, automation, the fourth industrial revolution is going to unleash digital power that will fundamentally disrupt processes, fundamentally change business. But if you can't execute and flawlessly, relentlessly execute, you're not going to be successful. One of the great advantages of being in business for 30 plus years is that I've actually seen great strategies that have resulted in not much because they haven't executed. So my three takeaways in terms of leading in this changing world. First, the world is absolutely changing. The fourth industrial revolution and the digitization of the world is unleashing tremendous opportunities. It is a tremendous disruptive force. And my three takeaways for you are: one, ecosystems and alliances are going to be incredibly important. Second, purpose and profit. And third, execution, execution, execution. Just like the other speakers, we are at Deloitte very optimistic about India. In fact, The survey that we conducted, 85% of all respondents to that survey around the fourth industrial revolution in India are very optimistic about the potential of the fourth industrial revolution. The leading country, by the way, in that survey. So Indian businesses are very, very optimistic about what this revolution portends. But it is a great opportunity for us to do right, do good, because if we don't unleash it appropriately, some of the issues that plague us today, like income inequality, will probably persist. Again, thank you for having me. That's all from this kid from Rohtak, Haryana. Thank you.